What's up, everybody? Today I have a very interesting video to get to share with you guys today. But before we get into it, make sure you leave a comment down below. Most important thing is to leave a comment down below, please. I'd love to compare our predictions and analysis together. Yeah, that's the most important thing. Just please leave a comment. Most important thing you do, even more important than subscribing to me. Well, they are two most important things. Please leave a comment so we can compare our predictions, analysis, thoughts, and theories together. Leave a like down below if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to share this video if you can. If you think someone else out there, I'm sure there's someone else out there you know that would need and like to see this video. And please, I emphasize, please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this channel's content and check out some of my other videos if you already have not. Now, let's get into this very exciting topic. Now, this is not any predictions for Season 4 or any theories, really. This is just recapping some of the best moments, which it was, of Season 3. The good old-fashioned way, through talking it out, the 5 best fights of Cobra Kai Season 3. Let's get into it. Number 5, Tori versus Sam, Sam's bad dream. Yeah, Sam's nightmare. And that's the thing. Listen, both of their big fights, in my opinion, have been some of the worst fights there has been. They've been goofy, extremely goofy, at the school, and especially fighting-wise, nothing came out of that fight at the LaRusso home brawl. Absolutely nothing. Obviously, it was broken up, but they had like 2 minutes to get at it, and nothing was really, nobody was really getting any shots in until, Sam finally, threw Tori basically up against the wall at the very end of the fight, and that's, she basically, was seeming like, she was starting to get her confidence up, and then obviously Hawk and Miguel and Dimitri ran in and be like, no, stop, and broke up the fight. Honestly, and it was obviously real footage, they really acted it out. Sam's nightmare was the best fight between the two girls out of the 3 fights, and it was a really good fight because it really had you on the edge of your seat. Now, at the end of it, when like things was happening where Sam got kicked into the rock, and she was pretty much finished at this point, and was, recalling, Miguel's nightmare, you started to figure out what was really going on, and obviously it was themed because, she dropped her water bottle like that, and then obviously you knew it was fake when, Tori had Sam and, like, drowning her in the pond. All of a sudden you're thinking it's fake, and then you hear, hey, like Daniel or Amanda's coming out there and sees that happening. But that was honestly one of the best and most intense fights that had your heart racing throughout the whole thing of the whole season. So I'm going to have to put that at number 5. Number 4, the Russo house brawl. Now, I honestly thought that this fight was pretty goofy, just like I was talking about Sam Tori was the goofiest fight in it. One of the worst fights of the season. But just the whole thing of, how much of a stir it's going to cause, at the start of the fight, when you're watching it, you're on the edge of your seat, some things are going to come out of it, like Hawk, turning into a good guy, Miguel getting back his confidence up, and obviously, Sam taking a stand, finally, overcoming a fear of Tori. Those were the 3, main things that actually came out of the fight, which obviously Daniel going to fight Kreese too and saving Johnny's life, just like Mr. Miyagi did from Kreese, obviously. But it was honestly a really good fight. There were, a lot of scenes that were, really cool to watch, like when the one kid threw Bert and Nate into the Christmas tree. You had Hawk smashing whatever kind of, thing it was. Like, it was basically like smashed the bottle into that one kid's head, that glass cup or whatever it was that they had in their house. And then you also had, Hawk and Kyler, or not Hawk and Kyler, what am I saying? When Hawk just saved Dimitri, that was honestly one of the most coolest moments of the whole season. And, so I think it was a pretty good fight, honestly. Very intense to watch, and you knew stuff was going to come out. So I'd have to give it a top 5 position in the top 4. That's where it is. Stands at the 4th best fight, in my opinion, of the best 5 best fights in Cobra Kai Season 3. Moving on to the 3rd best fight in Season 3. That would have to be Daniel versus Chosen. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, that wasn't, a real fight, but everyone liked that scene. Everyone liked that scene, okay? That was honestly one of the best scenes of the whole season. Daniel, I mean, you obviously have always known that Chosen was a better fighter than Daniel, okay? Many people believe him to be the best out of him, Mike Barnes, and Johnny. And I honestly wouldn't argue with that. Though Mike Barnes was a really good fighter. And, even though the third movie's low budget, even within the fighting, You still have to go along the story that Mike Barnes is one of the best fighters in the country. But Chosen was always a really good fighter, and he knew skills and moves. It turned out to be that he wasn't even using, back when, back in the Karate Kid Part 2 when he was such a bully and always fighting Daniel all the time and had their big fight. And let's be honest, Chosen dominated 80% of that fight. Daniel that never would have won that fight in a million years if it wasn't for the drum and the entire village being on the side. So, I mean, yeah, Chosen's definitely always been the better fighter. And, him just, seeing him, do that to Daniel when Daniel, has confidence. Daniel was still very wary of Chosen, don't get me wrong, but he still had, confidence just like he does against Johnny since he beat him back in 84. He thinks, that's how it works, but he was soon to learn when he was fighting Chosen, that's not how it works. And it was just it's just so intense, when Chosen was using those, hidden moves that, you'd never seen in any of, Cobra Kai or any of the Karate Kid moves. And, you could see, like, the look on Daniel's face, like, wow, this guy is the real deal. But, yeah, I mean, and it was great, honestly, to see Chosen, turn in, evidently finally realize that, he is born to do what he does, which is in it to fight to kill. But really, he finally must have understood that, you treat people in a certain way, and that's what he was definitely not doing. Yeah, and Yumiko knew that, that Chosen had changed, and it was very cool, seeing Chosen try to make it up to Daniel. Honestly, Chosen was nicer to Daniel than Daniel was to Chosen. I mean, I definitely don't think Daniel was 100% nice in Cobra Kai, and I think a lot of us would agree. But yeah, it was just such a cool scene when Chosen was training Daniel. I mean, Daniel just was blown out of his mind. You're like, what? Even all the audience are like, what did he just do? So yeah, that was a pretty good fight, and obviously it was an adult one, so those are always favored. Number 2. Hawk versus Brooks. Yeah, Kyler's best friend. In case you don't know Brooks, they never have said, I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm pretty sure, though, that they never have said Brooks. They just got to give each member of the cast a name, and like on the IMDb page, I guess you can go there, and it says you could see Brooks. I just call him the fat dummy kid that hangs out with Kyler. Kyler's overly confident sidekick. Yeah, most of the time he just acted tough whenever Kyler was around because he was the leader of their, thug gang in the high school. And, for a while in season 1, obviously the most popular kids and the biggest band of bullies in the school. That's why Kyler always reminded me of Johnny in a lot of ways. Obviously Kyler was a natural Cobra and maybe a little bit worse than Johnny and stuff like that. But they're both rich kids. They both had a gang that they were part of, hung out with the pretty girls. They were both the leaders of the biggest bullies in the high school, and obviously, they're both tough, whether it's because of karate or not before. But yeah, this fight between Hawk and Brooks, Kyler's best friend, was just epic. Honestly, some people might have not saw it coming. When you saw like Kyler coming in there, he was beating Mitch, that other girl, one of the Crease's recruits that was a very tough, don't take no credit from anybody, girl basketball player. Obviously, she gave Tori a run, and she didn't know a thing about karate, so that leads you to believe, once she actually knew Cobra Kai karate, she might overcome Tori, which Tori's obviously one of their best fighters. But you've seen, Kyler, overthrow Mitch, who was probably before, the new recruits came in, the third best fighter in the dojo behind Hawk and Tori. And obviously, you saw, it was getting intense, when obviously Kreese kicked Mitch off the team, and, you could tell that, Hawk was getting very nervous at that point that those guys, obviously he was mad that he lost a friend, but he was obviously very nervous that those guys were really going to come in and take over Cobra Kai. He just got fed up, had enough of it, and just absolutely beat the living crap out of Brooks, and was showing those new recruits, you ain't coming in here and doing nothing. And Kyler was just like, he's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get my butt beat just like that soon. Which obviously Kyler could beat Brooks in a fight, but the same exact thing would have happened if Hawk fought Kyler, because, it's probably still easier to get Kyler down on the ground than it is Brooks, obviously. And Hawk did that really easily. And then obviously he did that a total of 10 times I counted. But, yeah, I mean, he would have done the exact same thing to Kyler. He was filled with rage and motivation to make sure Cobra Kai stayed his as their number 1 student. So that's the second best fight of the season. And it was just the most brutal fight I've ever seen on Cobra Kai. Really, it really was. Second best fight of the season. And are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? This is number one. Yes. 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 The final fight between Johnny, Daniel versus Kreese. John Kreese. I'll give old man respect. Mr. John Kreese and Robbie. Now, that's the thing. The last name, Robbie. I honestly did not like seeing Robbie fight his dad. That was a very, emotional scene that really, touched you badly. But it wasn't a good 40 or 45 second, or however long it lasted when Robbie tried to fight, Johnny and everything. That, made you upset because you're thinking, Robbie is going to be an evil kid now. He's been good, then he was bad, or then he was bad. I'm sorry, he was bad, then he was good, and now he's going to be evil. And is this guy ever going to, be on good terms with his dad? But the fight between Johnny and Cruz was just epic. Johnny was kicking butt, half the time. There were so many intense moments where you thought Johnny actually might stab him, and then, you're like, oh my gosh, when Kreese, obviously had Johnny in the chokehold on the ground and was applying a pressure to his neck, trying to kill him, and then, Daniel, you're like, oh, thank God, they're not going to kill him. One of the main characters, Daniel, kicks Kreese off of Johnny, and then they have a little fight, and then both of them try to kill each other outside, and obviously the kids is what saved them, and even Kreese knew that Daniel wasn't going to do that in front of the kids. When Sam called Dad, Kreese was like, okay. So and then obviously it was a little heartbreaking though to see Robbie come out again and then resist turning his back against his dad once again, and also saying, I'm not coming back to Miyagi-Do, when Daniel was a person who's helped him and tried to help him, so much. But the fight was just, by far the most intense fight of the season. It's supposed to be themed to be the main fight of the season between, those main adult characters, main adult rivals, and, it was just an awesome fight, honestly, especially with Johnny and Daniel, or Johnny and Kreese. Now, Daniel and Kreese, especially when, Daniel thought about you trying to kill Kreese, with Chosen's methods that we was talking about earlier, that was very intense. It had you on the edge of your seat. But just the fact that Johnny was so full of rage and wanted revenge on this guy so bad and was just kicking his butt, pretty much 80% of the time, that was just so insane to watch. So it was honestly very good. I was just maybe hoping that if Daniel started beating Kreese, maybe Mike Barnes would come in and do the same thing that Daniel did to Kreese. Like maybe if Daniel had Kreese pinned down on the ground, or was basically overthrow him, Mike Barnes come in and be like, what? Or something like that. Because I'm a big Mike Barnes fan. Or it could be Terry Silver if John Kreese had coming. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Those are my 5 best fights of Cobra Kai Season 3. In my opinion, leave your best 5 down below, or any other theories or analysis or thoughts or predictions you'd like to leave. Please, just leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'd love to compare our predictions and everything else together. All right, leave a like down below if you enjoyed this video. Share the video if you can. Sure, someone out there would love and need to see this. And always subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the content. Check out my other videos if you already have not. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. So take care. Peace.